Good afternoon, and welcome to the DFS Army YouTube channel. I am Razzle11, and you can find me on X at Razzle11Grinds. Going to take a look at some pitching options for today, the 9th of April. It is Tuesday. We do have an 11-game main slate looking at us. Some interesting pitching options. Believe no real weather to worry about. Taking a quick glance at our weather station. Yeah, not much to worry about at all tonight. Still some middling temperatures, so nothing stands out extreme. Colorado's actually the coldest game of the night, but obviously the ballpark should negate that issue. We do have a couple pitchers with really strong K props. Caught me off guard a little bit. I guess it shouldn't, being that we're getting guys for their second, third time already. Um, but at the top we have Tyler Glass now, who's got a K prop of 8.5. Some slight wind blowing out to left field in Minnesota, but Minnesota's striking out a ton. Glass now certainly going to be worth that price tag um, at the top here. And as a reminder, a couple things. This is more of a first look at the pitching pool, trying to eliminate some guys right away before we even dig in. The reason I do that is because it saves us time. There's a handful of pitchers on every slate that we're really just wasting time, kind of digging into them with the idea of trying to play them. Obviously, we look at all pitchers because we want to decide which bats to use against some of these guys, but um, we're trying to condense research into, a 2 hour period or a 3 hour period, depending on what time frame you have available. Um, I helping out our members, condense their time frame to maybe 45 minutes because that's all they have after they get home from work or whatever it might be. Uh, and as always, mainly focusing on DK because that is where a majority of my play is. And that is where we have to play more pitchers, so we do have to find more than just one guy. FanDuel, my pitching pool is generally half of the size of my DK pitching pool, just because I think there's less viable options for FanDuel scoring. And also the pricing isn't as tight to where we can really focus on, a main 4 or 5 guys on FanDuel. But let's get back into the pitching a little bit. Obviously, Glass now. Wheeler, certainly interesting. Third highest K prop on the slate, behind Glasnow and Evaldi. The St. Louis offense, pretty weak overall to begin the season. Um, Wheeler is a minus 135 favorite. Glasnow was a minus 180 favorite. Uh, Wheeler coming off an elite performance against Cincinnati. Uh, Faced two pretty dangerous offenses, 15 Ks in 12 innings, just one earned run allowed. Great start to his season, so I'm definitely interested in Wheeler. Uh, Wheeler and Glasnow at the top. I have a feeling I am going to fade Kirby. Just kind of tough. He looked bad against Cleveland, great against Boston. Toronto's offense hasn't been spectacular, but they did wake up a bit against Castillo yesterday. I just don't think it's a spot that I'm going to go there. You can convince me that it is, but I'm still going to be looking for guys to fade because of how I do things. I like to be able to go overweight on my entire pool, which means I have to fade some guys that have some sort of ownership so that I can pull off that overweight angle. I'm going to play Evaldi. It is Oakland. It's the fact that they're at home is the big thing for me. Um, Coming off an elite start against Tampa Bay, was solid to begin the year against Cubs. Not many keys in that performance, but that's all right. Looking at an extra day of rest already, so I think Evaldi's great. He has the second highest K prop at 7.5 on this slate. He is a minus 205 favorite, which I would guess is the strongest favorite on the slate. Yeah, it is, it is stronger than even Rodon against the Marlins. So Eovaldi for sure. I am not using Musgrove. I didn't use Darvish yesterday against the Cubs. I felt like they'd been swinging it so well and in shitty weather that going to San Diego they were gonna continue to swing it well, while being in better weather. I know Musgrove was great the last time out, but it's not somebody I really feel like I can trust. And again, it's just easy for me to fade him and put some ownership, more ownership into Evalde to make sure that I go overweight on the field. Sonny Gray is going to be somewhat limited. Um, I would think probably 70 to 75 pitches could be more or less. They say 65. He did throw 54 in his last simulated game. Um, Similar to the way I felt about Blake Snell yesterday. Um, I'm not sure what to do with Gray because it wasn't like there were rehab starts. Um, Gray was hurt somewhat early in camp, I believe. I don't even remember when exactly. Um, but with Snell, he missed the entire camp and then was only throwing simulated games. That's a big difference than stepping onto a major league mound. Um, I think Gray's going to be a great addition to St. Louis this year, as long as he stays healthy. But I feel like it's a spot where you can just say, "Hey, I'm gonna let him come back, and we'll look to use him in his second start or maybe third start, depending on how the matchups work out." So I feel like it's probably not too much of a risk to fade Sonny Gray. Um, kind of be the I want to see it before I jump on board. Merrill Kelly kind of have to dig into his career in Coors. Um, Yesterday, after digging into Zach Gallen's career in Coors, Gallen became a pretty strong play for me. Gave up some runs, but the strikeouts were there. He's actually dominated in his starts in Coors over his career. So something to look into because the Colorado lineup is pretty weak overall. Um, the next group here, uh, I'm all I'm intrigued by all of these guys. These next five. Um, I don't know that they're all going to make my pool, so I'm going to have to dig in a little bit more to get an idea. Rodon, I don't know what to do with him. Strikeouts just aren't there. Walks are there. He's such a big favorite tonight, though. Minus 198. Rocking a K prop of 6.5. The numbers are showing from Vegas that he should be in play, but he might be the first guy in this group that I remove. Uh, Lopez, I think, is in play. I just don't know that his Ks are going to be overly strong as a starting pitcher. The Mets did get to Morton a little bit yesterday, but he is a minus 185 favorite. Game total of 9.5 though. K prop of just 4.5. He'd be ahead of Rodon right now, but he might be on the outside looking in once I finalize a pool. Um, I'm interested in Javier and Cole Reagans. I have been slow to jump on the Cole Reagans bandwagon. His performance against an elite Baltimore offense, even though that Baltimore offense appears to be struggling against left-handed pitching, I am somewhat interested here. Um, it is a dangerous spot against Houston. His K prop is 5.5. Javier's is just 4.5, which is kind of shocking to me. Javier is a minus 130 favorite, but Reagan's being at home makes me feel a little bit better. Generally, Houston at home is the spot that I don't really want to target them, especially with left-handed pitching because of that short uh, left field line. So I'm interested in this pitching matchup. I don't, I haven't played Javier much the last couple of years, but I think there's upside in this matchup. Uh, Wind is slightly blowing in from center, which definitely will help. As Kaufman has played more hitter friendly the last couple of years, I believe, than in years past. So, and then Bassett, I would definitely prefer him over Lopez and Rodon. Hasn't been sharp in his two starts. Um, Started out this Tampa Bay start really strong and then just fell apart. Seattle just doesn't look like a dangerous offense right now. Part of the reason why I was high on Barrios yesterday. Aside from the fact that he was way too cheap, I just felt like there was K upside in that matchup for him. Um, you know, Bassett's a favorite game total of just 8 in today's matchup. K prop of 5.5 with the juice pretty strongly on the over. So that makes me feel good about him being, maybe one of the top 7K pitchers on the slate or so, with upside to be higher. So that's kind of that range there. It's 5 guys that I think are very playable, but we're gonna look to eliminate Rodon first and maybe Ronaldo Lopez. Lopez is a little tougher. I can see people arguing to use him over Bassett based on how they've pitched so far. I like the K upside matchup for Bassett more, and I'm kind of playing for more upside than anything. Kind of go down. Savali has started out the year phenomenally. Been Tampa Bay's best starter through 2 turns of the rotation, taking on an Angel squad that's not overly dangerous. If he can keep Trout in the yard, his K props at 5.5. He's actually a minus 122 road favorite. So I am very interested in Savale. Have some interest in Harrison. Probably not going to get there. Um, Washington's one of those scrappy teams. Not that I think they're great or anything, but I think they can hold their own against left-handed pitching this year. Not going to use Hauser and his lack of K upside against Atlanta. Sandoval's looked not so great. I mean, his first start was not great, right? Bounced back against Miami, but I don't think I want to use him. I mean, Tampa Bay's offense isn't as dangerous as in years past, but I just don't know that I'm going to get there. One of the reasons why I'm not really going to look down here too much, obviously because Savali is Ben Brown over here. Lit up in his first appearance, then was strong against Colorado. Pretty strong prospect with some K upside. San Diego's overall offense isn't as dangerous as you might think. So he's somebody that I'm somewhat interested in, and I just think he's a much better option than the rest of the guys down here. I'm guessing it's more of a sprinkle, into my builds because I don't really like the punt pitching. Just hope for 12 fantasy points or something. I want guys. Sorry, I'm trying to hold off coughing, but I want guys that I think have upside for 20 plus. And based on how he threw in this game, even if it was against Colorado, there's upside to that because now he'd be this one. He's a long reliever. He was in line for the win, I believe, at the time. But if he picked up the win, that's another 4 points. He goes another inning or maybe 2 as a starter. You're looking at over 20. I think the upside's there, but I'm guessing it's more of a 10 to 15% play for me. I know people are going to want to play him just because it allows them to get more bats. It's not really the way that I look at it in general, but there we have it. There's kind of the first look at some pitching. Kind of go by tiers in the pricing. If you enjoy what I bring to you, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, turn the notification bell on. Get the alert anytime we drop videos here at DFS Army. If you want to join us, get access to our coaches, tools, cheat sheets, optimizer, and Discord. I'll put links in the description below. You can use promo code RAZ. It's RAZ for 10% off monthly. And as always, best of luck, everybody.